everybody, welcome to That's Football. I'm Mark Goldbridge. Brighton won, Arsenal won, and that is surely that with the title race. Some people will say no, but Chelsea taking 2 points from 12, Arsenal dropping points to Brighton again. That's their 7th draw this season. That's what's going to be the big difference. They're 5 points off Liverpool. Liverpool have got 2 games in hand. Look, nobody wants the title to be over in January. Liverpool fans won't concede it. Arsenal fans won't accept it. But the reality is, I've been saying this for weeks, and look, there's 2 big reasons today it might be over. 1, did you think it was a penalty? Some people are saying it's controversial. 2, the most universally understood issue for Arsenal is their absence of a striker. And Jesus just ain't that. And I'm not saying he's missed sitters or anything like that today, but there is a presence that a striker gives a team. Even Isaac at Newcastle gives them a presence. Obviously, Haaland does it at Man City, but Watkins and Duran do it for Villa. Arsenal don't have that fear factor for the opposition, that when you're playing in a bad game, you've got a striker that can change the game in any moment with that one finish or one bit of movement. And Arsenal, I don't know what it is. I mean, even today they're being linked with Kuna. You don't need another interesting attacking player who isn't an out-and-out finisher. Kuna can score you a goal like Saka can score you a goal, like Odegaard can score you a goal, like Martinelli can score you a goal. You need a bloody goal scorer. You've drawn 7 games. You've not lost many games this season, but you've drawn 7. Liverpool have drawn 3. If those 4 draws with just 3 wins, you've got another 6 points. So Arsenal have to look at themselves. They've dropped so many points this season, not because they've lost, but because they've drawn. And you need a bloody striker. And I don't know what all this I don't need a striker is all about. I've got Havertz, I've got Jesus. Let's go and get Kuna, who's another attacking midfielder type. Get a bloody striker. Go and get a striker and watch what happens. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. But they're not going to come back from this. I mean, I put Arsenal out the title race a long time ago. But obviously, there's still many, many points to be played, so you can't do it yet. But 5 points behind Liverpool, 2 games in hand for Liverpool. I think they've got to go to Anfield as well, Arsenal. So, yeah, I just don't see. I don't see it at all. We're a long way from giving the title to Liverpool, but I wanted Arsenal to win today. I want a title race. It's amazing that Man City aren't going to win the league. It's brilliant, but it's also disappointing that Liverpool are just going to coast through this. I wanted Arsenal to win. I wanted them to put a bit of a fight on, but the reality is Saka's not there. They don't have the depth, and they don't have a striker, and therefore they're not scoring enough goals. And to be fair, in recent weeks, set pieces have been massive for Arsenal, and they didn't get one today. So, I don't think Arsenal are a bad team. I don't think Arteta's doing anything wrong, but they need more goals, and they're not going to get those. As for the penalty, you know what? I do feel for Arsenal on this one. I mean, I think Anthony Taylor gets it right, which is not something I would normally say, but they both go for the ball. Pedro gets there first. Saliba's head collides with Pedro. If that was a foot, you'd say it's a penalty. So why isn't a penalty with the head? There's nothing really Saliba can do, but it's never going to get overturned. The funny thing was, we saw exactly the same thing happen in the Spurs-Newcastle game when Kulusevski did it to Gordon, and they didn't give a penalty. So I think that the problem here is the PGMOL and their inconsistent interpretation of football. We've already had a ridiculous goal given today from the Joel Linton handball, which was accidental but still led to an advantage. And now we've seen 2 penalties where one was given and one wasn't, which is always going to lead me to be sympathetic to Arsenal fans, because they can go, well, VAR didn't give a penalty for Newcastle, so why are we getting a penalty in this game? And that's the inconsistency. But honestly, I think if it hadn't been given, we'd be looking at it from a Brighton perspective saying they were robbed. The bottom line is Brighton made a couple of substitutions at half-time, and they were the better team. Arsenal didn't look dangerous in the second half, hardly at all. He took off Wanyeri at half-time. I don't know whether that's tiredness or injury, but they were a worse team in the second half with Martinelli than they were without him. And I think this is Arsenal's biggest problem, isn't it? They miss Saka, obviously, because he's one of the best players in the league, but they also don't have the quality in the attack that is required. And with Chelsea dropping points again today and Man City too far off, you look at that league table and you go, okay, there's still a long way to go. I mean, it's mad that Liverpool haven't even played half their games yet. They've only played 18. So there's another, 19, well, for Liverpool, there's 60 points up for grabs. They could easily hit 80, 85 points. So you can't be saying that the title's over, because it's not. But I think logically where we're heading is a Liverpool title. And the reason for that, and people will be screaming and shouting saying you can't say that yet, you can't say that yet. But you can say that yet, because this is a really competitive Premier League. Arsenal have just drawn at Brighton. Chelsea have just drawn at Palace. There is no collection of games where you can say we're gonna win 6 or 7 in a row. And to hunt Liverpool down, you've got to go and win 8 or 9 in a row. And where are Arsenal going to win 8 or 9 games in a row? There's always going to be a Brighton or an Everton where they won't probably get beat, but they'll draw. So I think Arsenal this year, unfortunately, are going to be looking at the amount of games they've drawn. They're still a good defensive side, but they're not getting enough goals. Chelsea are going to just be happy with 4th, and they're still learning. Man City have obviously been dreadful. And Liverpool have just been the best team in the league so far, who've shown the consistency and experience to get the job done. And that's just the way it's going to be. I don't think it's the end of the road for Arsenal. I don't think Arsenal deserve any major criticism. I just think that you're sort of looking above Arteta, I am, and I'm going, where is the spend on the most obvious thing? You absolutely need a goal scorer. And where I would argue about this again would be, even if Arteta thinks he wants Jesus for his link-up play, there are strikers out there that can link the play up like Jesus who are actually strikers. There's no what I'm trying to say is there's no logical benefit for not having an out-and-out striker in that Arsenal system, because Jesus doesn't do anything that makes me go, well, if you had an out-and-out striker, you're going to lose this. They need an out-and-out striker, and I don't know what the financials are, but that's what they need. And as I said, I've seen them getting linked to people like Kuna, who is a very, very good player, but he's not an out-and-out striker. So I don't know why you just wouldn't go and get that. Is there something that Arteta doesn't like about a striker who is going to strike fear into opponent defences and play on the last man and create space for everybody else, as well as being a threat in the box? It's a weird thing, because I would sit here and say what I said with Robbie on Friday. I think it's the difference between Arsenal winning the league and not winning the league at the moment, is having that position that everybody knows that Arsenal need. Anyway, get your comments in below. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. Is it over? Was it a penalty? And do you agree with me about that? Also on Brighton, good point for them. They are in 10th place now with that draw, but look at how far Brighton are off even 5th place. And with the squad that they've got, I don't want to rub salt in the wound of Arsenal, but I don't think they would have scored without that penalty. They've drawn 10 games. Look at that. They've drawn 10 games. That's because they can't score goals. They've got an amazing squad, but Brighton should be higher in that league table. Thanks everyone for watching. Speak to you all in a bit.